Okay, kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, the only podcast that's glad to no longer be in the dating pool. I'm Chris Daly, and today I'd like to welcome John Lees and Sally Cantirino to the show. Guys, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for that lovely intro. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. I'm glad to have
Yeah,
you.
thank you for having us on.
Absolutely. I'm super stoked to talk to you guys. I just finished issue one and two today, and I'm very, very excited to get talking about it. But before we get started, I usually like to start these things off with an icebreaker question. So today's icebreaker question is, what's the weirdest thing you have in the room with you right now?
Oh. Hmm.
Um, I have a yarn winder and Swift
Nice.
for winding skeins of yarn
Nice. That's awesome.
because my office is the only place where I have enough like flat surfaces to attach them. So that like
Fair enough.
wooden umbrella looking thing,
Yeah.
that's that's for like putting yarn on so you can wind it into a ball.
Nice.
I
I
don't know.
got
Let's see. I've got a little Hellraiser cube sitting here
Ah,
next to me.
nice. Very
I've
nice.
got a Chucky doll that sits next to my
Nice.
writing table. What else have I got? Yoga pants. That's probably the most important.
Nice.
And oh, I've got a what was that? I have a light up Jason Voorhees mask. Or which was
Nice.
out
Nice.
with batteries. So that's about my what I have to say.
Very cool. I think for me, I've got a couple. I've got a giant 20-sided
Oh,
dice. It's a 3D
Oh,
3D printed D20.
I have
And
a D20 with a Psyduck in it.
nice.
It's hard to
I
see.
just have like a little bag full of dice in here next to my
I
desk.
have mine too. I also have
In case of emergency.
it's a pizza monster.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
Perfect.
good
that's
my good
cool.
friend Rachel likes to make all different kinds of monsters with food because she's a big fan of Godzilla and all the monsters. So this is one of her very first ones, the Pizza Dora. Shout out to
That's very
Rachel.
cool.
She sells lots of cool stuff like this on her Etsy page, so people go
Nice.
check that out. She was in episode 100, so go check that out.
My one of these dice has got a little eye in it. I don't know why I'm showing you this since it's a podcast and you wouldn't have
Yeah,
the medium of sight, but I have a little rotating eye inside this, which is pretty cool. So if you're listening, just imagine like a really cool little Eye of Sauron type thing that's flipped out inside a
Oh,
D20.
is it one of those like liquid ones where it's like floating around in there?
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
it looks cool, but I think it's weighted towards one because that's always seemed to roll whenever I try and use it.
Yeah.
that's awesome. All right, guys. So summer's wrapping up and we are now rolling into the fall season. So let me ask you, what are some of the favorite things you guys like to do in the fall time?
Mm.
It's Halloween time for me.
Yeah.
I'm like a big Halloween nut. So like it'll probably be soon time to like I'll be beginning. Well, my birthday was just at the end of September, so as soon as like birthday season ends, it's like Halloween season begins. So I'll probably be like maybe going to a pumpkin patch with my friends at some point soon to try and get the kind of plum gourds.
Nice.
And yeah, I'll be starting to prep like decorations and things and like tidying up my house and like clearing up all the like real cobwebs so I can hang up fake ones. Um, and yeah, like so that's me. Like it's very much spooky season for me, the most magical time of year.
Oh, my wife is very much into that too. We've had decorations up, I think, since July or August. So it's a very exciting time for her too. And I'm not really big into that stuff, but my daughters and my wife are huge into that stuff. So that's something that happens pretty much all year round. Now, you said your birthday is the end of September. What day is your birthday?
September 27th, so just a couple of days ago.
That's my birthday.
Oh,
Oh,
birthday
happy
Yeah,
twin!
birthday.
that's awesome. Well, happy birthday, man.
Happy
And
birthday to you too, sir.
And thanks, guys. Yeah, it's that I always have to ask when people say end of September because I very rarely have ever been able to find people, on the same day as me. And now there's three people. That's very cool.
Yeah. Trying to think, like, apparently, like, is it, apologies if I'm butchering his name, but Alice Scott is also a September 27th birthday person. Uh,
Really?
yeah, and also actually the exact same age as me as well. Like, I like, like, he's aged much better than me. I think I'm like his, like, Dorian Gray portrait, and like, I take this slowly melting.
That's awesome. My fun fact about that is Avril Lavigne was born same day, same year. So
Oh
Avril
wow.
Lavigne was also born on the 27th of September, but
Cool cut.
she was born on 1984, which is when I was born. So Av
Yes, but when was she cloned?
fair, yeah, fair.
When was her clone born?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, Sally, what are some of your favorite fall activities? Or do you have any
So
favorite
first of
fall
all,
activities?
the decorations never come down. The,
I like
the
that.
the fall decorations are always up. I wish I could take you on a visual tour around like both our office upstairs and our like actual living space downstairs because it's all just like classic monsters, horror movies,
That's cool. I see the
black
cat on the
cats.
couch. That's very
They,
cool.
yeah, they've got a
That's
cat and
cool.
then like a pillow that my mom knitted that's also like spooky uh cauldrons and witch hat motif.
Very cool.
Magical.
Yeah, I mean my favorite fall activities is um especially once the weather gets cool, like doing a nice walk around like a cemetery.
Oh, nice.
Um we live about 40 minutes from Sleepy Hollow, New York, so
Oh, cool.
going up there is always fun. There's a lot of really cool old houses up there. Um I only ever go to Salem in like the off season.
Yeah.
I only ever go
Smart.
like weird
Smart.
times of year like April. Um, you know, so
Was it like
yeah,
a golf
I like I
tsunami
like
like in October, like in Salem?
um you you like Salem's very touristy now, but
I
I'm
imagine.
the kind of wife that's like dragging my husband along to like the homestead in Danvers, three towns over. Like, look, there's a replica of the meeting house. Like, and it's like, why can't we do something fun?
Oh man, my wife would be so jealous. Like I'd be in the same position being drug around all over the place trying to like,
Yeah.
look at this, look at this. She really
We have to
wants
go
to
to
do
this cemetery and that cemetery and then this
that.
other cemetery.
We live way too far away from that. So, but that would be something she always wants to do. Because yeah, and I keep trying to tell her, you can leave decorations up, fall decorations up all year long.
Yeah,
Like just do it. It's
why
easier
not?
that way. She just likes to decorate for other holidays sometimes. I'm like, well,
That's true.
just take those and
Just
take
just
the
put a
skulls and put
Santa
Santa.
hat on the skeleton.
Exactly.
And one of
And
my hacks is I bring my Christmas tree out in October and I decorate it with lots of like spooky decorations and
there
then
you go.
so
There
I
you
just take the
go.
spooky decorations down the trees there ready for Christmas time.
There you go.
Perfect.
That's perfect. All right, guys. So, I want to take a trip back in the Wayback Machine now and kind of get to know, what brought you guys on your journey as writers and artists. So, Sally, let's start with you. What was it that originally inspired you to become an artist in the first place?
Um, so I think what inspired me to become like a comic artist specifically is I didn't feel like I was good enough at writing. I didn't feel like I was good enough at drawing. But I
Okay.
was like, oh, if I do two of them together, I can kind of feel like I can tell a decent story.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I read comics in like middle school. It was sort of right around when a lot of um a lot of manga started being available freely
Yeah.
on your shelves of Barnes and Nobles
Yeah.
until they kick you out from sitting on the floor for too long. Um, my public library in our township had a a YA section that also had a very robust like comic section. So I was reading a lot of like the Vertigo trades, so a lot of like Doom Patrol and Invisibles and Swamp Thing and um they also had the coffee table book of Locos of Love and Rockets. Uh and that was really what the comic that was like, oh, I could do this because this is black and white. It felt much more accessible than um some of the like big graphic novels or like superhero trades that I was reading. It was like, oh, it's just like these two dudes and they're doing everything. And So I did a little bit of self-publishing. I moved into getting to work with different publishers, work with a lot of different cool teams, and now here I am.
Very cool. All right, John, what about you? What inspired you to become a writer?
I guess like I've always like writing. Like I think looking way back to my youngest days, like like my top three jobs like I wanted to do, like my earliest memories was like number one was like be an actor, number two was like be a toy maker, and number three was like be a writer. And then like as I got older, I realized I wasn't an actor and like toy maker isn't a real job. So like writer was kind of what was left. And then like always like when I was in school, I remember like primary, well, like I guess it'd be called grade school or middle school for America, but in here it's like primary school, which is like where you are for like age 5 to like age 11 or 12, like when you're in the UK. I
Right.
remember when I was in primary like 5, I would write little 10-page books. And it was like sort of three pieces of paper that you would fold in half to make like a little 10-page booklet. And like, I would write like, and then every page, every issue, every page would have like, a little picture and an illustration and like a few lines of text, these little stories. And like, even then I was writing like horror stories and it was like me and my friends, like, fighting like, like John and Pals versus Dracula. John and Pals versus Satan. And it was like, and like, like so I'd write these things, and then like the teacher would put them in like the school library next to like the other books, and
Oh,
then
wow.
like other kids started writing their own books and putting them in the library. So we had a whole like section of like student novels. And that kind of gave me the bug of both like writing and the need for approval from an audience. So that kind of like graduated into wanting to write. And like first I thought I wanted to write novels. And then it was like I wanted to write screenplays. I studied film at university, and like my plan was going to be I was going to write a screenplay and do a short film when I graduated, but that ended up falling through. I can't even remember why. I think the location that we thought we had, but ended up not having anymore. So it's kind of
Yeah.
at a loose end. And a friend of mine, who was an artist, asked me to write a script for them to draw. And I'd always been a comic fan. I've always loved comics as a reader, but I hadn't really put two and two together and thought, oh, those are something that you could write.
Yeah.
Like even though I'd always loved like Batman and Spider-Man and then in the later years stuff like The Walking Dead, Scalped, and all that stuff. Or actually, no, Walking Dead Scalp, that came more like after I decided I was going to be a writer. But like, yeah, when I was younger, it was like superhero stuff. But yeah, it would have been maybe about 2008, 2009. I was like, this, my friend had said, try writing a comic for me. So I kind of studied like what was involved in writing comics. And I really was fascinated by like the restrictions of it. Like how like you've only got so many pages to tell a story. You've only got so many panels per page, only so many words per panel. Um, and I like the idea that it's kind of somewhat a new and fledgling medium, relatively speaking. There's things that haven't been done in it, and that kind of like intrigued me. So I really got into like writing comics as a format. And I wrote this script which was totally different from what my artist friend was actually asking me to do. So I ended up never working with my friend, but the bug stayed with me. And then I ended up kind of like writing this thing and submitting it to a website that kind of reviewed scripts. It's called The Proving Grounds. It was run by Stephen Forbes, and then he kind of became my first comics mentor, and it was all off to the races from there. And like I've been writing comics ever since for the past 15 years. So
Wow.
yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, we kind of mentioned it a little bit at the top, but now I want to talk about Orla, the comic you guys do together. So, for those that don't know about Orla, why don't we take a minute to talk about what it's about?
Cool. Yeah.
Um, Orla is a quirky, gory, horny, like horror comedy creature feature slash rom-com about a lonely woman called Orla who's navigating the Seattle single scene while dealing with anxiety, issues of confidence and body image, and the fact that she sometimes turns into a giant man-eating monster. She calls this alter ego the Ick, and she can't get rid of it. So with this affliction, she decides she's going to use it for like good, and she's going to clear all of the worst, scummiest men out of the dating pool. So this ick emerges whenever she gets too stressed or nervous or angry or scared. So whenever she's on a date and men get her to that point, out comes the ick and the man gets eaten. But then the kind of key conflict of the series becomes like what happens when she meets somebody that she maybe doesn't want to eat. And it kind of becomes a parable about like, being the true version of yourself and like how we curate versions of ourselves and like kind of make polished, nice, sanitized versions of ourselves, and who do we let in to kind of see the true self and all of its ugliness and monsterness. Hopefully not literal monsters in most of their cases, but in this case, yes.
Very cool. Now, I just, like I mentioned before, I've recently read the first two books, which are available everywhere right now, by the way, people listening at home. Go check it out because it's an incredible book. Um, why don't we talk a little bit about Sally? Like how did you guys end up meeting up together? And let's talk about a little bit of the story from your perspective.
So I first worked with John Lees because I did variant covers for The Nasty, which is the book he did over at Vault. And I remember getting the like previews of the issues so that I could, work on the covers and being like, ah, this is so good. Like I wish I was drawing this. Like, not that I thought that I could do a better job
Sure.
than the artist on the book,
Yeah.
but I was just like, oh, this looks like so much fun to draw, you know? Um, so I think at some point, John approached me with the pitch to Orla, and I was like, I immediately was like, I would die for her. I love her. She's perfect. Thank you. I support
Yeah.
women's wrongs. Um, and he just schedules aligned, stars aligned, publisher said yes, and worked on Orla with him, and I was like, I've just been really psyched to work on it. It's been such a fun book to draw. It's been like it's so fun getting to draw like the rom-com aspects of it too. Like,
Yeah.
because I know I can draw a big monster. I know I can draw a big monster like eating somebody's guts. Like I can know I can do that. So
Yeah.
like the challenging part is like the the sweet rom-com stuff and the horny stuff, which is really fun to draw.
For sure. Now, let's kind of talk a little bit about, have you pulled any, real life inspirations for your ideas for your artwork in the book? Like, I know, you had mentioned you live on the East Coast and you guys are, talking about stuff that's happening in Portland on the opposite side. So, what's some stuff that you pulled from?
Um, so God bless Google Maps because it makes, getting the lay of the land and what Seattle looks like,
Yeah.
um, makes it a lot easier. I have I was gonna go to Seattle once and then that was March of 2020 and I didn't get
Oh,
to go
yeah.
to Seattle.
Sure.
So, one day. Yeah, I mean, there are certainly like things that, on one hand, trying to keep it true to Seattle and make it be recognizable places. And on the other hand, being like, well, there's areas where I have room to kind of interpret, like I can base, like there are scenes in issue 3, like the layout of the house that's like influenced by one of the Halloween parties that my husband and I go to every year.
Yeah.
Like, um, trying to think of like Halloween costumes to draw people in issue 3. Um, Having a lot of fun with Orla's outfits because it's like I get to kind of imagine what someone else's wardrobe is like. And it's like, yeah, this like sort of soft, cute, different than my taste, but still like I just, like I get to kind of have fun playing in this world and in this
Yeah.
character's closet and in this
And to piggyback
character's
off that, I
like
just want to say
apartment.
briefly to interrupt you, Sally, that like Sally's costumes are just like so amazing. Like the wardrobe she's given Orla is just so like varied and like it feels like a real person. You can go, oh, that's
Yeah.
the things that they would wear, and like she's just done a fantastic job. And I'm just
I
in
agree.
awe every time I see her, kind of like doing the various fashions on display.
Yeah. Like I just wanted to pull from some like 60s styles because a lot of what I was referencing for Orla was going back to look at like 50s, 60s, 70s romance comics. So kind of trying to pull some ideas for outfits and hair from those comics. Like in issue 2, she's got the little like space buns as like a little homage to Sailor Moon because I always feels a little bit like a shoujo comic to me too.
Yeah.
um, like giving her like these poofy like silky dresses that I can't afford but look really cool.
That's kind of cool. Like, I didn't really think about that. It's kind of like you took like ideas from the 50s and 60s and kind of put like a little bit of a modern twist on it. It's really cool. Very cool. John,
And
what
that
about
goes to
you?
like the aesthetic of the whole comic as well. Like beyond even the outfits, just like the whole style of the drawing and stuff really reminds me of a lot of like, retro stuff in a really fun way.
Yeah, for sure. So what about you, John? Where did you get the inspiration to come up with the idea for Orla?
But obviously, it came from like my experience of turning into a giant monster and like eating people in the dating scene.
Oh man, okay.
Other than that, yeah, I think it just like it comes from like this is the part where every time I'm doing like a podcast interview, I go, that universally relatable thing where like you're deeply weird and like you're trying to pretend to be normal,
I
like
I
it's like to pick
that
them
that
up,
hits
and everyone just
personal,
gives
yeah.
that blank expression. Like I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. That's not something that I think that's only something that you feel, John.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like that feeling of like trying to kind of like be like normal and be kind of like socially acceptable and be like this polished version of yourself, and then like it kind of feels like we all have like this monster inside of us that we're trying to keep buttoned down. Like no, no, I don't
Yeah.
want anyone to see how I eat, or like
Yep.
or like or it's like if you're like in a relationship or date, it's like I can't like let her hear me fart. I'm gonna have to go home if I feel like I'm gonna fart. Like but like, like it's like that. But like
Yeah.
amped up to like the nth degree. Like just these feelings of anxiety and like wanting to fit in. And wanting to be accepted, but being worried you won't be accepted. And I think people feel that all kinds of different ways, like, whether it be through anxiety or neurodiversity or like just self-confidence. I think like that's something that a lot of people can relate to.
Sure.
So yeah, but definitely like seeing like like trying to like tap into those feelings, and then also just like tapping into like there's a whole lot of stuff about like like the man like especially like in the current climate. I feel I suppose like me and Sally have talked about this on our podcast and things, how it's not necessarily a new thing, it keeps on getting repackaged, but like this whole idea of like like gender dynamics and like the expectations on women especially like and like the way like the challenges like of trying to like fit into that versus like the need to rail against it. And just like kind of like you know shitty men. And as a shitty man, like I feel like I have some like valuable experience in this, but
Yeah.
just like trying to like I want to like feel something that like yes tapping into topical issues without like feeling like it's like a hashtag political comic. It's also like a bit of a lark and it's fun too, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the kind of like things I was tapping into, and also like in terms of other influences, just like drawn from like rom-coms, which I love, and like relationship drama type stuff, and I'm always terrible at doing like it's X meets Y type elevator pitches because I always choose really obscure niche things, like rather than like easily marketable things. But for me, my X meets Y for this would be like Muriel's Wedding meets Death by Temptation. Like Muriel's Wedding is like one of my all-time favorite movies, and I think like there's a lot of like the DNA of Muriel's Wedding in this because like that too is like about a protagonist who's deeply flawed and you feel angry at sometimes, but you never truly hate, even if they're doing things that may be like wrong.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of capture that vibe with the character of Orla. And in terms of Death by Temptation, which is to try and explain it, is a movie I've kind of grown obsessed with over the years, kind of like as a trauma film, about this kind of succubus vampire type creature who navigates the New York dating pool and kind of like finds victims. And the villain in that is essentially just like a monster, like like they're like Pennywise, essentially pure predator. Like there's all these scenes where the character like are having a conversation, and when the man turns away, she just goes totally blank, like like waiting until like. And but I always had this idea of like, wouldn't it be interesting if that character had an interior life and they had like friends and a job and like doubts. So that kind of like was something that kind of like needled in my head for a while. So that was another inspiration that kind of came into the development of the series, and beyond that, just the kind of hodgepodge of influences that usually form a story.
Very cool. So, is this planned to be a limited series? Do you guys have an idea of kind of where the story ends? Is it going to be like, let it run as long as it can?
It's a five-issue miniseries with a kind
Okay.
of full arc. Obviously, if the series is a critical smash, we'll be like doing a sequel where Orla goes to the White House. But other than that,
Oh
but
man.
beyond that, there's no definite plans right now except for a five-issue mini.
Yeah. Orla moves to the other Washington.
Very cool. All right. Well, like I mentioned before, Orla issue 1 and 2 are available now. I believe issue 3, I think it said is coming in October, I believe.
October 22nd is when it comes out, just in time for Halloween, which is good because issue three is our Halloween issue.
Perfect. Very cool. So make sure you check that out. Check your local comic book shop. Let's get it ordered. Let's get it read. Let's help support
And if
these
you
guys
can't find your
because
local comic shop, you can get it direct from Mad Cave Studios' website. Mad Cave Studios
yes.
are actually pretty awesome for that. They really, from their website, you can buy single issues, both in print and digitally, and you can do these like cool like series bundles where you can like pay a price and they'll send you each issue monthly as it comes out. And you can also pre-order the kind of graphic novel collected edition if you prefer your books in trade form as well. So check out madcavestudios.com for that.
Yes, definitely shout out to Mad Cave Studios. They've got some great books, including Orla. So make sure you show Mad Cave some love if you don't have a local comic book shop or if you have to go super far for your local shop. Um, so after this, guys, like what do you guys have in the works that you can talk about? Either together or separately, either one.
I've got more Sync. Coming up, Sync is my probably most long-running series. It's a kind of hard-boiled crime horror series set in Glasgow, kind of anthology style. That's been we've had three volumes of it. Volume three is the collection of that's coming out at the end of October. And we're going to be starting volume four on Kickstarter with continuing the Halloween theme, the Sync Halloween special, which is launching this month. And hopefully very soon. And yeah, we always get good response for our Kickstarters, so hopefully that shall continue. This is going to be a kind of brand new story with a whole bunch of cool Halloween themed bonus content, plus various cool covers from guest artists and all that stuff. So you can find that at comicstribe.com/sync. And that'll link you to the Kickstarter page where you can kind of sign up to the campaign to be notified on launch. Also got Grog, Gore and Shanks, which is also from Comics Tribe, which is a kind of like fantasy mystery series, a kind of Lord of the Rings meets Knives Out about a dwarf and an orc solving crimes. We actually just finished the first Kickstarter for that, so that's going to be fulfilling soon. We're going to be having another Kickstarter campaign in the new year, and that's coming to the direct market early 2026. Um,
Cool.
yeah, those are the two big things other than all that.
Very cool. Sally, what about you?
What do I have? This is so I'm probably gonna jinx it, but this is the first time since like 2019 where I haven't had something immediately lined up to start working on. And
Yeah.
like with like no time off between books. I think like the longest that I had off was like a month.
Wow.
So I'm like looking forward to having a little time to work on pitches. I have a couple like tabletop RPG things that I want to work on with my
Oh,
husband, John
nice.
McGuire, who's um part creator of 321 Action, but
Yeah, I'm
been,
I'm friends with John. That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean John's great. And so we're the next thing that we have kind of on the slate, other than me finishing up artwork for projects that already are written, is we are doing a third-party adventure for the Sickest Witch RPG from Severed Books,
Oh, cool.
called Under the Shadow of the Noonday Witch. And it's my little time to use all of my collected special interest, useless knowledge about, witch trials in Europe and, and in the New World. Um,
That's such a good
so we're
feeling.
having a great time working on that.
When you have that vast useless knowledge that no one really cares about, then all of a sudden one day
Yeah.
it something happens and you're like, I was born for this moment.
Yeah, yeah,
It's such a
like
great feeling.
Justin Saroy from Severed Books asked John, like, "Oh, do you want to do a third party like module adventure for Sickest Witch?" And John came to me, like, he's like, "Hey, do you have any ideas for this?" I'm like, "Yes, it's gonna be
Awesome.
about capitalism."
Awesome.
Like,
Very
it's really
cool.
gonna be critiquing capitalism, but
Very
it's also
cool.
gonna be about witches.
That's awesome. All right, guys. So before I let you go, I want to see if you guys would take a moment to each share a bit of creative advice for those out there listening.
Ooh.
Do you want to start,
Um,
John?
Yeah, this is like this is one of those questions which is like, I've always said before, the other question, the dreaded question when someone says, what books are you reading right now? And then you immediately forget every comic you ever read. Like, do
Yep.
I even read comics? What are comics? It's
Yep.
the same thing that I've like, I immediately forgot like, every bit of advice. But
Yeah.
uh I guess like the biggest advice I could give is like, you know, don't be discouraged. Like you should it's easy to think like, the market sucks for comics, or oh, no one wants to read what I've got to say, or no one's interested, and it's like do it anyway. If you can, like, if you're able to, like, whether if you're a writer or an artist, like, like make something, like, like just making something will put you ahead of so many other people, like, just by having something tangible that you know that's yours. And like you'll learn so much from like, making something, and whether it's successful or not, or whether you make a mess of it when you're making it, it's all valid. Like, it's like getting your story out there. And like I say, like I've seen people who will spend a lot of time like writing scripts, or writing, like synopses of scripts they're gonna write one day, or or they say I've got an idea. And I think like, like, and you can, you can plateau doing that. The best thing, if you want to make comics, the best thing you can do is like try muddle through and make a comic. If it's at all possible, if you have the resources that you can do it. Like I say, that's my advice would be, is like go out and do the thing.
That's good. What about you, Sally?
Yeah, I mean, I want to echo what John said about just make it. Like, just make the weird little thing for yourself and start small. Start with like one page, one panel, you know, a 3-page thing, a 5-page thing. Just post it online, or don't post it anywhere, whatever. Like, photocopy it and leave it on a library shelf with the other with the
With John
other
and
books,
Pal Christmas thing.
Yeah. But yeah, like, don't be afraid to make weird stuff. Don't be afraid to make stuff that doesn't work. Um, because if you don't start somewhere and do things and actually like do the thing, you're not gonna ever get good at it. And I don't mean like becoming like get good, like, oh, you're gonna become a professional, but I
Right.
mean get good in the sense of like you are gonna be able to link your like what you want to do in your brain with translating that to pen and paper, or drawings, or scripts, or sculptures, or you know whatever you want to make.
Yeah.
um and make things with your friends, make things with people that also enjoy those same weird things that you do. you know make
Yeah.
friends with other people who make stuff, and find ways to support each other, especially in these times where like we were so centralized, like we got very comfortable being centralized around certain social media platforms,
Right.
and they're now dust in the wind.
Yeah.
And you know e- finding like small conventions, small zine fests in your area that are, that you can be part of, even if you're just going to like, you know, see what's there, meet people, finding like you'll eventually find community. You'll find weird people to make things with. You'll find weird people who want to buy the weird things you make, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but you're not going to do that if you only like write it in your head, if you don't actually put it on paper.
Yeah. Don't
And
be
also
afraid.
to say, like, in a to add on to Sally's point there, like, I just that reminds me that, like, comics is an amazing community. If you can get out there into the place where people are making comics, like I've made the best friends of my life, like from like comics and when I started like going like a little like comics writer circle in Glasgow and when that opened up my world and like the Glasgow comic scene and then like traveling around the world and going to conventions and meeting people like it's you'll meet amazing people like that share your passion like that are creative in the way you're creative and it'll enrich even set aside a career in comics, something like that, like your life will be enriched by being part of the comics community and like meeting, people that are like you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
you don't have to spend like 2 grand to go to like, San Diego Comic Con, like
Oh,
to
no.
find your
Yeah.
people. You can go to like the weird thing that's, the Zine Fest is happening like 2 towns over at a
Yeah.
library. Or like we did a comic fest that was like just just next to a lake, called Lakeside Comic. It's called like
Nice.
Lakeside Comic Con.
That's
It was a
awesome.
bunch of tables next to a lake, and like, the local dudes just grilling food on the grill, like making burgers and hot dogs all day on the grill.
That's
And it
rad.
was like it was great. It was a great time. I got really sunburned, but I saw a bunch of people that I sort of knew from the community and got to know them better.
Yeah. That's very cool. Yeah, so don't be afraid to start just because you think it's gonna suck because it's gonna suck the first time. But like you said, Sally, you can't get better if you never start.
And
And
apart from me, obviously, I was obviously excellent from my very first comic, but like everyone else, like,
and make weird stuff because fueled by weird, I'm all about weird stuff and the world needs more weird stuff. So you should never
Yeah.
be afraid to make weird stuff. So that's some good advice. Thanks, guys.
Make Work on making stuff that a machine can't replicate.
There you
yeah,
go.
exactly.
There you
Uh,
go.
what was that said? Well, I saw something like saying AI is never gonna. I'm going to probably garble this and paraphrasing it, but AI is never going to like replace real artists because all the best art is made from either spite or horniness, and like
It's
machines
true.
cannot be
And a
spiteful or
computer
horny.
can't be spite. Well, I don't know. I think sometimes my printer can be spiteful, but you know,
I'm an IT guy, so I can confirm that printers can be very spiteful sometimes.
my printer enjoys being spiteful.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. So where can we stay up to date with stuff that's coming from you? Like, do you guys want to take a minute to plug your websites or social medias or whatever?
Sure. I'm on my newsletter can be found at johnleescomics.com. You can go on there and you can sign up to my weekly newsletter where I share all my latest news and lots of long rambling essays in various subjects each week. And johnleescomics.com is also like where you'll find information on like all my various credits and comics and bibliography and all that stuff. And you can also go to my online shop, johnleescomics.bigcartel.com. Sadly, thanks to the tariffs, fucking Trump, like my prices to the US have just like doubled, I'm afraid. But if you're in the
Big thumbs
UK,
down.
but also you can find me on Patreon, patreon.com/. John Lees, which has lots of extra content, original prose stories, behind the scenes stuff in my various comics. Social media, I'm on Blue Sky, johnlees.bsky.social. And that's my main posting hub now. And I'm also on Instagram, John Lees 927. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Very cool. Sally, about you?
I have a website that I need to update, sallycantorino.com. You can find me on Blue Sky at sallycantorino.bsky.social. And then I'm on Instagram. It's my name, Sally Cantorino, but there's an underscore in the middle.
Okay.
And I would say that like I post the most on Instagram. Um, but if you're looking for like updates on when stuff's coming out or what I'm doing, Blue Sky or Instagram's your best bet.
Very cool. All right, so for me, I like to thank Polygon Horizon. The song Pizza Force is the song we use for the show. So go check them out on Bandcamp and SoundCloud. They're a great band. Give them some love. You can find Fueled by Weird on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm on Blue Sky, but just as myself, but I share all the Fueled by Weird stuff there. So go check me out there too. You can send me an email at fueledbyweird@gmail.com. Talk about what we talked about on the show. Get on the show yourself, whatever you want to do. You can find Fueled by Weird on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check out the Linktree link. Yeah, the Fueled by Weird Linktree. All my links are there, so go check me out there. Um, my dude Hassel Hutchinson, he has a channel, the Nerdy Manroom Show. Go check it out. He's got lots of shows there. The Nerdy Manroom Show, Hassel Review, and Card Subject to Change. The two of us, we make up the Stay Weird Network. It's a brand new podcast network dedicated to bringing some awesome back to the internet because the internet kind of sucks sometimes. We need to bring some more positivity back to the internet. Check
Amen.
us out at Stay Weird Network on YouTube and Instagram and shoot us an email at stayweirdnetwork@gmail.com. Now, if you like the show, please leave a review and tell your friends because word of mouth is my friend. And remember, kids, life's too short to be normal, so stay weird. John, Sally, thanks so much for joining me tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.